So it's really peculiar when you go out and you take a couple videos and you load them up on YouTube, taking a vehicle that you love to the Gambler 500, thinking that you're going to be kicking off a channel full of hijinks and shenanigans. And what you accidentally do is videotape the funeral of something that you love dearly. So, since it has been literal years since I've uploaded anything to this channel, I felt like it's probably a good time to give you a breakdown of what's been kind of going on with me and what's been going on with this, because unfortunately, since I got this thing back from the Gambler 500 all the way back, other than having to move it when I sold my house, this thing hasn't moved whatsoever. And if you know anybody with any mechanical inclination, they are very quick to tell you what happens when you let something sit for so long. So if you're looking for some good news on Hummers right now, I've got a spoiler alert. There's not going to be a lot to go around, but here's the update. Let's start outside while we still have a little bit of daylight. Now, currently, the Hummer is rocking some metric 315 BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2s. Now, while BF Goodrich does have a legendary reputation in the off-road tire department, the bad news is that the production date on these tires was so long ago that they could technically buy weed from a dispensary. Unfortunately, these things ain't getting that high anymore. And this ain't even the worst issue. So General Motors took the Hummer H2 and they shrank it. And they made a mid-size version that was easier to live with on a day-to-day basis. A Hummer you could parallel park. A Hummer that could fit into a shopping space. Now, while the standard engine for the Hummer H3 was their catastrophic i5 engine that was both underpowered and unreliable, this is one of the lucky few that has the Alpha package in the LTV8. Now, while that's the good news, the bad news is that this engine took what was a severely underpowered vehicle and then just raised it to just an adequately underpowered vehicle. Then add to that 175,000 miles, and a majority of those miles being put on by someone who didn't have the most stellar reputation of vehicle maintenance. Plus, even on its good days, it's only getting 17 miles per gallon. So when you factor in the fact that gas is mostly $4 a gallon in this area, that means that I'm dropping a quarter for every mile I run this. Which explains a lot of the reason why it's in this condition. And if you haven't caught these gloves yet, it's because that this ain't even the worst of it yet. Because sadly, since moving into my new place of residence, the most common failure point of the Hummer H3 has reared its ugly head on mine, and that is the failure of the sunroof drain. Now, whether it be the lack of time to be able to actually take this out and enjoy it, or the unreliable drivetrain, or the uneconomical drivetrain, seeing this, it hurts my heart and it hurts my soul, because in the immortal words of the famous philosopher James May, even seeing this in the state that it's in, this thing still gives me the fizz. So if this is something that I claim to love, why is it that currently is harboring a swamp? Well, that is because of what's over there. I'll come back for you. I promise. Now, unfortunately, in 2025, if you're going to be pursuing a startup, you become very unemployable. Because every time I go to a job interview and they ask me what my 5-year plan is, and I respond with, well, not working here, I don't really get a lot of follow-up calls. And so right now, my day-to-day is an Uber driver. Now, Newsmax and Fox News, don't start calling me or hitting up my DMs, because I promise you my ownership of a Tesla has no bearing whatsoever on Elon Musk or his politics whatsoever, because I am here to tell you that outside of politics, Elon's still a fucking idiot. But that is another topic for another time. So if I have no emotional attachment to this vehicle whatsoever, yet I have my heart and soul wrapped up into my Hummer over there, why is this one being driven daily while that one's fading into the earth? Well, to put it in a nutshell for right now, I'll leave it at this. I can recharge this thing at home 8 times for the price of 1 tank of gas in that. And it's hard to beat that math, regardless of what the heart wants. I'm not gonna lie, the stats are grim. Because when we look into the fact that I'm going to need to completely gut the interior of this, because it is a literal health hazard, rebuild the transmission, completely resurface the engine, and then also slap some tires on this thing, for the value of this at its current state, this thing is mechanically totaled. I'm going to have to spend more than this thing is worth to actually get it back on the road. So I guess Elon won. I guess the billionaires won. Instead of actually being able to spend time with what I love or those I love, I have to make choices between where my heart is and where my bills are. And so another amazing relic of my 20s has to fade into the nether. Or does it? Why can't I take everything that's good about the electric cars and put it in here? That has been the thought that has been tormenting me for literal years now. Follow me for a moment. So outside of the fact that I don't know the nuts and bolts on how to convert a previously gas-powered vehicle to electric, what's there of genuinely stopping me from taking the parts off a total electric car and throw them into a vehicle that I have an unhealthy emotional attachment to? That way I can get the best of both worlds. Unfortunately, due to the terms of my lease only giving me access to half of this garage, for once in a very few times in a Hummer owner's life, he's being told it's not gonna fit. So, if my current living situation isn't affording me the workspace needed to give my Hummer the attention that it needs, I have to adjust my expectation to projects that I realistically have an opportunity to sink my teeth into. Enter an artifact from my 20s, a 1973 Honda CB350 Cafe Racer, the predecessor to the modern day sports bike. Now, to peel back kayfabe for a little bit, one of my genuine regrets in life was selling my first car. It was an '88 Suzuki Samurai. And even though it was powered by an asthmatic gerbil, the lessons it taught me at such a pivotal point in my life always make me look back on it fondly. Which explains why it's so damn hard for me to get rid of this old girl. Because even though this thing has not seen the road in well over 15 years, all of the life experiences and the lessons that I have learned in my 20s on this bike make it nigh on impossible for me to ever think about sending this to the junk heap in the sky as long as my feet are on the right side of dirt. And even though I have so much emotional attachment to this motorcycle, why is it that on top of my Christmas wish list wasn't CB350 parts, but an e-bike? But then I started to wonder, why can't this be an e-bike? If I can't electrify my Hummer right now, what's to stop me from just going from 4 wheels to 2 wheels? But unfortunately, I have got a massive amount of training ahead of me before I can consider this my freshman project. But luckily, this thing has got so much chrome and aluminum that we can actually restore in a way that has not been displayed on YouTube yet. And that is something I cannot wait to show you in the future. Plus, with all of the maintenance and the repairs and all of the scar tissue that we're likely to find in this old girl as we prepare her from becoming a classic e-bike, we've got plenty of content on this bone until we get through that training. And if all of this is starting to sound like a massive undertaking, then you don't even know the half of it. Because the way that I plan on doing these electrical conversions is through things like 3D scanning, 3D modeling, CAD, and things of that nature. So just in the off chance that someone has ownership or knows how to get ownership of a vehicle that I have already electric converted, I want to make it just as easy for them to be able to get in contact with me, to be able to convert their vehicle the way that I have, so they can enjoy their vehicle in a way that I'm trying to learn how to enjoy mine. Now, all work and no play can drive a man a bit neurotic, especially when a lot of that work is polishing off antiques that honestly might be better off destined for the scrap heap. So, in a way of injecting a lot more fun and shenanigans into my coursework, this channel aims to both learn and sharpen my skills on one of my favorite childhood obsessions, RC cars. Now, of the few things that I have learned in the process of marrying this classic RC body to a modern RC drivetrain is that I have so much yet to learn, and how so much of this is going to transfer over into my full-size counterparts. I intend to learn how to build 3 more custom RCs that will both look the part and act the part to keep in league with what I have already built. And once all of that's been completed, we're going to be taking these things all throughout the luscious Pacific Northwest to truly test how capable today's modern RCs are. And that content itself aims to tackle 2 things. One, lets me play with toy cars, and I mean, how could I say no to that? But 2, one of the main issues that plagues a lot of automotive channels as they grow is how ungodly expensive it is to make all of these episodes. So, if I can make some lesser expensive RC content that, while this, yes, is going to be costing me a few grand to get these things completed, once they are completed, it's going to be drastically less expensive to make content like this to help subsidize far more awesome and interesting builds. And just in case you're curious about how aspirational this channel aims to be, well, how about creating an electric vehicle that is 45 foot and 15 tons? You heard me right. One of my first jobs after I graduated high school was working at the Monaco plant in Coburg, Oregon. And I worked in the plant that actually made the most expensive motorhomes of the entire line, the Signature and the Dynasty line. All of these things were 45 foot, 3 axles. Some of them even had a bath and a half. And these were what we called the stupid money motorhomes. Because to be able to afford these things, you needed to have a stupid budget to be able to accommodate this. That being said, thanks to the magical world of depreciation, it's now slowly starting to come into the realm of possibility for a man like me. But if you're going to go ahead and try and conquer challenges that big, you're going to need to build a channel and infrastructure big enough to be able to take on that kind of a conquest. And right now, I ain't got that. But luckily, I have got plenty to keep me occupied on my quest to 1 million subscribers to be able to take you along the ride in the first place. Because my name is Alan Parkway. This is H2RC Adventures. Adventure on every scale.